How to heal after a breakup, a calming fireplace story for a broken heart. Welcome. Tonight, I want to speak softly. Not because the world is silent, but because sometimes the loudest pain is the quiet kind. The kind that creeps into your chest when you least expect it, when love ends, and you're left wondering what to do with all the pieces. So, if you're here, wrapped in a blanket, listening to the crackle of the fire, this is for you. Let yourself breathe, slowly. You're not here to fix anything tonight, just to feel less alone. Let me tell you a story. It's not about forgetting someone, it's about remembering yourself. It begins with a slow train and a winter sky the color of ashes. The snow was gentle that day, not falling fast, just drifting like lost thoughts. On the train sat Rowan. They weren't crying, not visibly. But their eyes had that faraway stillness, the kind you wear after too many nights of trying to be strong. The breakup wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no final scene in the rain. Just distance, confusion, and the painful clarity that sometimes love doesn't survive the life it lives inside. One morning, they looked at each other and knew it was over. Rowan didn't leave out of anger. They left out of silence, out of a need to hear something else besides the echo of memories in their head. They'd found a cabin online. Remote. No Wi-Fi. No one nearby. Just a fireplace, a view of the lake, and trees tall enough to hold your secrets. The cabin was old. The kind of old that feels safe. Everything creaked. The floorboards, the windows, even the door sighed when you opened it. But it smelled of pine and old books, and there was a heavy quilt folded at the foot of the bed. The kind of place made not to impress, but to keep you warm. The first night, Rowan lit the fireplace and sat in front of it on the floor. No music, no scrolling. Just the fire and the sound of their own breath. They didn't say anything aloud. But the tears came, not a storm, just rain. Just grief, without words. The thing about breakups, especially the ones where love still lingers, is that they feel unfinished. Your mind replays conversations, looking for what you missed. Your body still expects their touch. Your routines still hold space for them. And in that cabin, the silence made space for it all. Every morning, Rowan made tea. The same kind they used to make together. At first, it hurt, the way muscle aches when stretched. But slowly, it became their own ritual again. A way of saying, I'm still here. Days passed. Time in the forest didn't move like city time. There were no calendars, no blinking notifications. Only the rise of the sun and the way the light hit the frost outside. Some mornings were heavy, others were light. Healing doesn't move in a straight line. It loops, dips, circles back. One morning, Rowan went for a walk. The snow was packed down in places, soft in others. Their boots sank in silence. The trees were bare, but not dead. Just resting. Like Rowan, they walked for hours, without thinking. Just breathing, just existing. They found a clearing where the sun spilled through the pines, warming a patch of earth. And they sat down. Closed their eyes. And for the first time in weeks, they didn't think about their ex. They didn't replay, didn't ache, they just sat. And that stillness held them like a hand. That night, they wrote a letter. Not to be sent, not even addressed. Just a letter to the version of themselves that needed to be heard. You are allowed to miss them, it began. You are allowed to wish it had gone differently. But you are not required to stay broken just because the love is gone. They wrote about the laughter, the quiet dinners, the way Sunday mornings used to feel. They wrote about the fights, the fading, the words left unsaid. They didn't try to resolve it. They just let it live on the page. When they finished, they folded the letter, placed it gently in the fireplace, and watched as the flames turned pain into smoke. The days grew longer. The lake began to thaw. You could hear it, the soft crackle of ice loosening its grip. Geese began to return. The world, slowly, was waking up. Rowan didn't suddenly feel better. That's not how healing works. It was more like this. One morning, while sipping tea, they realized they hadn't thought about their ex at all the day before. Not out of denial, but because the ache was softening. They started cooking again, not just for nourishment, but for joy. They hummed while they chopped vegetables, laughed at themselves when they burned toast. They began sketching in the journal, little drawings of trees and birds, their own face, smiling just a little. They didn't post anything online. Didn't announce the change. They just lived it, quietly, authentically. One afternoon, there was a sudden rainstorm. The kind that surprises you, no thunder, just a misty, soaking drizzle. Rowan stood outside in it, letting the water hit their face. And in that moment, they realized, the sorrow was no longer a weight. It had become a river. Something that moved through them, but no longer held them in place. Eventually, the time came to leave the cabin. They packed slowly, not because they were sad to go, but because they wanted to remember every detail. The way the windows frosted over in the mornings. The soft groan of the wooden stairs. The quiet peace of firelight and pages turning. On their last night, they sat by the fire again. This time, they weren't crying. They were remembering, with love, not longing. I will carry the love, Rowan whispered, but I will no longer carry the loss. So now, maybe you understand why I told you this story. Maybe you are Rowan. Maybe you're in your own cabin right now, real or imagined, trying to find the shape of yourself again. And that's okay. You don't need to rush healing. You don't need to forget them overnight. You just need to return to yourself. Day by day, cup by cup, breath by breath. Let the fire burn slow. Let your thoughts soften. Let the grief have its place, but not your whole house. Tonight, you can rest. Not because it's all fixed, but because you're allowed to pause the ache. You are allowed to be okay, even just for a little while. And when the morning comes, you'll rise again. A little lighter, a little stronger, still tender, but whole. You are not broken. You are just beginning again. Good night, dear soul. Let the fire keep you warm.